Hey y'all, it's Kim. So this is an article that I found in my search through all the Kennedy, well not Kennedy, but the Israeli nuclear program documents. You'll see that there's several in there about the Dimona nuclear reactor. Anyway, I guess they said that it was just more for like nuclear energy, but then there's the potential for proliferation so they could actually make nuclear weapons. But anyway, let's read this article from Joshua Frank on Counterpunch. I've never heard of this website, but anyway, it doesn't matter. It's just like one of those things you find and, you know, since we're talking about the Israel Iran conflict about nuclear weapons and blah, 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 blah. So, anyway, that's why I'm bringing this up. So, it says June 20th, 2025, Israel's nuclear deception, flagrant lies, and brazen hypocrisy by Joshua Frank. The Negev Nuclear Center near Dimona. Source is Google Maps. All right. So Israel, like many other colonial projects, was established through violence and has relied on the use of force to occupy Arab territory ever since, understanding that its existence depended on having superior military in a hostile region prompted Israel to initiate a nuclear weapons program soon after its founding in 1948. Even though Israel was a young nation by the mid 1950s with the aid of France, it had secretly begun the construction of a large nuclear reactor. That two allies had teamed up to launch a nuclear weapons program without the knowledge of the administration of President Dwight D. Eisenhower turned out to be a colossal and embarrassing American intelligence failure. Ooh. Okay, not until June of 1960, the final year of Eisenhower's presidency, did U.S. officials catch wind of what was already known as the Dimona Project. Daniel Kimi, an Israeli oil magnate, having undoubtedly had one too many cocktails at a late night party, at the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv, confessed to American diplomats that Israel was indeed constructing a large power reactor in the Negev desert, a startling revelation. This project has been described to Kimi as a gas cooled power reactor capable of producing approximately 60 megawatts of electric power, read an embassy dispatch addressed to the State Department in August of 1960. Kimi said he thought work had been underway for about 2 years and that a completion date was still about 2 years off. The Dimona reactor wasn't, however, being built to deal with the country's growing energy needs. As the United States will later discover, it was designed with input from the French to produce plutonium for a budding Israeli nuclear weapons program. In December of 1960, as American officials grew more worried about the very idea of Israel's nuclear aspirations, French former minister Maurice Cove de Merville admitted to U.S. Secretary of State Christian Herter that France, who in fact helped Israel get the project off the ground and would also provide the raw materials like uranium the reactor needed. As a result, it would get a share of any plutonium Dimona produced. Israeli and French officials assured Eisenhower that Dimona, now known as the Negev Nuclear Center, was being built solely for peaceful purposes. Trying to further deflect attention, Israeli officials put forward several cover stories to back up that claim, asserting Dimona would become everything from a textile plant to a meteorological installation, anything but a nuclear reactor capable of producing weapons grade plutonium. Atomic denials. In December of 1960, after being tipped off by a British nuclear scientist, concerned that Israel was constructing a dirty, that is, extremely radioactive nuke. Reporter Chapman Pincher wrote in London's Daily Express, British and American intelligence authorities believe that the Israelis are well on the way to building their first experimental nuclear bomb. Israeli officials issued a terse dispatch from their London embassy. Israel is not building an atomic or an atom bomb and has no intention of doing so. With Arab countries increasingly worried that Washington was aiding Israel's nuclear endeavors, Chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission John McCone leaked a classified CIA document to John Finney of the New York Times, claiming that the U.S. had evidence Israel, with the help of France, was building a nuclear reactor, proof that Washington was none too pleased with that country's nuclear aspirations. President Eisenhower was stunned. Not only had his administration been left in the dark, but his officials feared a future nuclear-armed Israel would only further destabilize an already topsy-turvy region. Reports from Arab countries confirmed the gravity with which many view this possibility of nuclear weapons in Israel, read the State Department telegram sent to its Paris embassy in January. And isn't that ironic? Just saying. Okay, whatever. I don't think anybody should have all this nuclear stuff, but whatever. Let's go on. As that nuclear project began to make waves in the press, Israeli Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion moved quickly to downplay the disclosure. He gave a speech to the Knesset, I guess that's how you say it, the Israeli parliament, admitting the country was developing a nuclear program. The reports in the media are false, he added. The research reactor we are now building in the Negev is being constructed under the direction of Israeli experts and is designed for peaceful purposes. When it's complete, it will be open to scientists from other countries. He was, of course, lying, and the Americans knew it. There was nothing peaceful about it. Worse yet, there was a growing consensus about America's allies that Eisenhower had been in on the ruse and that his administration had provided the know-how to get the program off the ground. It hadn't, but American officials were now eager to prevent United Nations inspections of Dimona, fearful of what they might uncover. That's weird. Okay, by May of 1961, with John F. Kennedy in the White House, things were changing. JFK even dispatched 2 Atomic Energy Commission scientists to inspect the Dimona site, though he came to believe much of the Israeli hype. The experts pointed out that the plant's reactor could potentially produce plutonium suitable for weapons. The Central Intelligence Agency, less assured by Israel's claims, wrote in a now declassified national intelligence estimate that the reactor's construction indicated Israel may have decided to undertake a nuclear weapons program. At a minimum, we believe it has decided to develop its nuclear facilities in such a way as to put it into a position to develop nuclear weapons promptly should it decide to do so. And of course, that's precisely what happened. In January of 1967, NBC News confirmed that Israel was on the verge of a nuclear capability. By then, American officials knew it was close to developing a nuke and that Dimona was producing bomb-worthy plutonium. Decades later, in the 2013 report citing U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency figures, the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists revealed that Israel possessed a minimum of 80 atomic weapons and was the only nuclear power in the Middle East. That's kind of scary. Pakistan wouldn't acquire nukes until 1976 and is, in any case, normally considered part of South Asia. To this day, Israel has never openly admitted possessing such weaponry and yet has consistently refused to allow allow inspectors from the International Atomic Energy Agency to visit the secretive sites. Nonetheless, evidence suggests that a major project at Dimona was underway in 2021 and that Israel was by then actively expanding its nuclear production facilities. The absence of UN or other inspections at Dimona has resulted in no public acknowledgement from Israel regarding its nuclear warheads, leading to a lack of accountability. This history of egregious lies and deception renders Israel's illegal bombing of Iran for its alleged nuclear program all the more hypocritical. I mean, I'm not trying to take the side on any of this, but I'm just really showing that it is kind of strange that they don't want somebody else to have them, but they can possess them. This is just the weirdest thing. So, anyways, is Joshua Frank is a co-editor of Counterpunch and co-host of Counterpunch Radio. His latest book is Atomic Days: The Untold Story of the Most Toxic Place in America. That might be interesting to read. And then he can be reached at joshua@counterpunch.org, and you can troll him on Blue Sky. Oh, yeah, this is definitely not my kind of website. But anyway, I'm just providing kind of historical information on this whole Israeli nuclear program. So anyway, I've got a little bit more to do, and then we'll probably be done for today because I started late. But anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Have a good afternoon. Bye.